Hello, my lovelies. Today I have my November wrap up for you, so stay tuned. So I didn't end up doing like a vlog style this month because there was just so much going on with the holidays and all of that. I was traveling for the first half of it, so I'm going to try to do my best. I wrote down, I think everything that I read, which would be 7 books, and I'm just going to do my best to tell you about each of them. So, and these are not necessarily in any particular order. It's just the order in which I remembered them. So the first book I have here is Death at Mourning House by Maureen Johnson. This follows a girl named Marlo Wexler who, this is YA, she accidentally burns a house down and kind of loses the job that she had, and she has this opportunity to go to a mourning house to be like a tour guide and all of that stuff. And there's mysteries and deaths, and she's kind of trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. And yeah, that's about it. I enjoyed it. It also goes back and forth between present day and I think sometime in the 1920s, I believe. The original owners of the house and their really weird dynamic and what happened there, because this house has pretty much been abandoned for a long time, and they've opened it up for just one summer for tours and all that stuff, and then things are going to happen there afterwards. People have bought it and all that. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave this a 3.5. It was fun. It was YA. The next book, I can't find where my physical copy is, but I read None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. And this follows 2 women who, they essentially have like the same birthday, so they're like birthday twins. One of them runs a podcast, and the other is kind of disillusioned with her life and wants to make a big change. And the one with the podcast, she does a podcast with people who have gone through something and like a big change in their life and what has come from it. And so the one who's like disillusioned with her wife and planning on making all these changes kind of goes to her and is like, hey, what if we did a thing showing me going through the process of this big change? And it's interesting. It gets kind of dark and twisted, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm giving it a 3.75. Next up is Dear Emmy Blue by Lisa Lewis. This follows a girl who, when she was a child and she was going through some bad things, she set a balloon afloat, or she let a balloon out, and she was in the UK, and it made its way all the way to this beach in France, and the boy in here, he found it, and they became like pen pals and all of that, and they remained friends over the years, and she'd spend holidays with them and all of this stuff, and this friendship grew and grew and grew, and she was actually just madly in love with him at this point, and they're adults, and he comes to her and he has this big question that he has for her, and she thinks it's going to be, developing a relationship or, something more. And what he's asking is, will you be my best woman at my wedding? Because he's gotten back together with an ex, and she's kind of devastated, but she doesn't want to let him know this. And there's also going back and forth in time and how things happened, and there was a falling out at some point with his brother, and they all used to be really close, and yeah, all that. This was super, super cute, and I give it 3.5. Next was actually one of my These Books Will Self-Destruct books, and that is The Way to Game the Walk of Shame by Jen P. Wynn, I believe is how it's pronounced. this is like fake dating contract type thing where our main character, she is like goody two shoes type, about to be valedictorian possibly. You know, she's striving for that. Her goal in life is to go to Columbia and become a lawyer like her stepdad, and all the teachers love her, things like that. And she doesn't do anything wrong typically, and she has a great reputation. And then it's in her senior year, and there is this party that she goes to, which her friend kind of drags her to, and she ends up having a little too much to drink, and the next morning finds herself waking up in the bed with the school's playboy, and he has quite the reputation for lots of girls, and they didn't do anything, but she doesn't really remember what all happened. He kind of remembers things in bits and spurts throughout, but her reputation takes a huge hit after this, and people are saying a lot of awful things, and nobody's believing her or him that nothing actually happened. And so she kind of comes up with this idea of this contract fake relationship thing where it won't look bad that she was with him if they had already been dating and all of this stuff. And teachers will like him more, you know, if he's involved with her because he's like jock and all that stuff. And so that's essentially what it is. And it was super, super cute. I loved it. And he is a big marshmallow. And I ended up giving this 4 stars. Next is The Last Girlfriend on Earth and Other Love Stories by Simon Rich. So as I was reading this, I was rating the stories, and I ended up with like a 3-star, 2-star, 2-star, 3-star, 2-star, 2-star, 1-star, and that was pretty much the point that I quit reading. It was like about a third of the way through, and I DNF'd it because I just wasn't feeling most of the stories. And there were a couple of cute stories in here that I did enjoy. Like the first one, which is called Unprotected, and it's from the perspective of an unused condom in a teenage boy's wallet. It was funny. And another one that I thought was funny was what is it called? Dog Misconnections. That was my other 3-star one, and that was like, you know how there's the, like in the news or newspaper or online or whatever, where you have like these misconnections, like, hey, I saw you in this coffee shop and we talked a little, but we didn't exchange numbers. I'd really like to meet up again. Things like that. But this was with dogs, and it was funny. It was really funny. But a lot of the other ones were just kind of terrible, and I wasn't feeling it. So I'm giving this one overall 2 stars. Next, it was The Bachelorette Party by Karen McCullough Lutz. Part of this kind of gave me like Hangover vibes. So our main character, Zadie, her best friend is engaged to this woman who is actually Zadie's cousin. And Zadie's cousin's always been like Little Miss Perfect and goody two shoes and still a virgin and all of this other stuff, and kind of makes Zadie feel like crap about her life and her choices. So she doesn't really like her for that reason, but she's also like really nice and all of that. And so when her best friend asks her, you know, to go to this bachelorette party, kind of help her loosen up and have a good time, all that stuff, she begrudgingly goes. And let's see if I can find this. Yeah, so here is actually how the bachelorette party was, like the little schedule for it. So it says, Helen's bachelorette party and bridal shower, an all-day fun-filled event. 9 a.m., breakfast at Barney's Greengrass, yum. 11 a.m., Kundalini yoga at Golden Bridge, I swear it will change your life. 1 p.m., tonics at Elixir, mind-blowing. 2 p.m., shopping at Fred Siegel, everyone's favorite sport. 4 p.m., tea at the Peninsula, elegant. 6:30 p.m., dinner at the Ivy, grilled veggie salad. And she's like suffering through this whole thing, and it's the point in which they have tea. They're all kind of like, well, not all of them, but like Zadie and a few others are like, let's get a drink before we go to dinner. And so they end up going to a rooftop bar, and drinks are happening, and Helen has like her first drink and all of this stuff, and ends up with having several more, and it just kind of leads for, they miss dinner at the Ivy, and it goes on and on and on, from like nightclubs and exotic dancing and all kinds of things, and yeah, it's chaos. And Helen gets wild, and yeah, it was fun. I don't think I would actually read it again, but I did give it a 3.75. And then the last book that I read was Dreamland Burning by Jennifer Latham. This is also set in two times. We have the present day and following the race riot in Tulsa in 1921. And in our present day, in this little, it's not a shed, but like a little, it's technically servants' quarters, or in the past it was servants' quarters, but they're like remodeling it and all of this stuff, and there is a skeleton that's been found, and they're trying to figure out, what happened, who was this, all of that stuff, and things. It's also involving a lot of like race issues still current day, but we're also going back in time and seeing what was going on building up to these race riots, and what led to this body in the ground there. And I enjoyed this a lot. I don't know that I would necessarily read it again, so for that purpose I'm going to give it a 3.75. Okay, so those are all the books, at least that I can remember, that I read in November. Have you read any of them? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you.